Berg's 2040 vision, but this particular event is tied to the United Nations Week, where global leaders come together in New York for the UN AGM. All right, to tell us more about this, we're joined in studio by Sheila Makutu, a community leader in Diepsloot, and Katelyn Brewer, strategic director at Africare, an international organization, aid organization. Ladies, good morning. Good to have you on the program.
Good morning.
All right, so let me get a little bit more information on what if is and Africare. I don't know who wants to take this one.
I'll take Africare.
Good.
Africare is an international development aid organization, about 45 years old, and we work in 17 countries across the continent, focusing really on economic development in a number of different technical sectors: agriculture, health, women's empowerment, youth engagement. And we work particularly in South Africa since 1992. So here, one of our main projects is a large HIV and AIDS project in the Eastern Cape, which works in about 400 clinics. Over 275 of those have actually seen 0 cases of mother-to-child transmission in the last 3 years, which is fantastic.
That's fantastic. All right, so that's Africa, but what about What If? What is that? What does the organization do?
What If it's an organization that runs in Diepsloot, in a township, whereby we know Diepsloot as it's got a bad name all the time. People are telling Diepsloot it's a bad name all the time. It's got a bad news about it. But this time there's a good thing,
good story
to tell about Diepsloot.
Wonderful. Now, when we look at both of these projects coming together, what are you hoping to achieve?
We are achieving to see people taking control in life, and especially knowing who they are at the end of the day, and accepting that in 2030 we want to see a good story being telling about Diepsloot, and we know for sure that there's a good story is going to be telling Diepsloot, because we are running a youth center, and we are women development. Hosting a women development where we are developing ladies who are unemployed, who are coming to the center and do beadwork, crocheting and everything. I mean, those people who are most unemployed are coming to use the center.
Which is really heartwarming, and it's a great story. But Katelyn, what are your plans for Diepsloot? What are you hoping to achieve through all of this?
Well, Africare's plans, and thus my plans, is really to empower Diepsloot residents' vision. What Africare really does is we have institutional capacity that we are able to work with local organizations to either build their capacity if necessary, or just scale up projects that they're currently implementing. So with the What If Trust, when I met the founder, Gail Steiger, about 1.5 years ago, it was evident that what she was doing really wasn't about her or about the What If Trust. It was really about what Diepsloot entrepreneurs and what Diepsloot residents are talking about and actively engaging in themselves, and giving them the access to the tools to be able to accomplish that and empower themselves. So about 1 year ago, we started, well, actually at the last year's Social Good Summit meetup, the Diepsloot residents came up with the hashtag Diepsloot 2030. And what it is it's their platform to talk about their good news stories. In the mainstream media, a lot of times you hear very negative things about Diepsloot, and that's not to say that they're not a reality. They do happen, but it is to say that it's not the only thing that happens in Diepsloot. And it's important for Diepsloot residents to be able to believe and be proud in where they're from, and introduce their community to South Africa in a way that maybe hasn't occurred recently. So.
And I like the idea behind it, because I mean there is so much good, and we all know that. Generally when you look at the whole of Africa, there's always the negative stories that seem to be reported on, and that is just the continent. But when you dig deeper, the same thing happens in smaller communities, and Diepsloot is one of them. And I would love to know the vision. 15 years from now, we're talking 2030, Vision 2030. Where do you see Diepsloot? What does the community need? What are the biggest needs of the community?
Let me start by saying we started, Diepsloot started in '94. We were it looks like it was in a Buntu land, you know, where it's nowhere to be found. But right now we've got malls, we've got centers, we've got clinics, we've got hospitals, and we've got, most important thing, we've got white people who are coming to Diepsloot.
Yeah.
And with the xenophobia that happened this year, nothing actually happened in Diepsloot.
And that's something to be proud of.
Exactly.
That's a good story to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of facilities and in terms of the needs of the people of Diepsloot, what would you say are some of the biggest needs? What would you like to see happening there?
Would love to see more schools built in, recreation centers, and more clinics.
Indeed.
And more schools.
Yeah.
That's what we'll
basic
have to
services.
Yes,
you
basic
need
services.
it's in desperate. As it stands right now, how many people actually stay in Diepsloot?
Sure.
The official numbers are 250,000.
250,000.
But unofficially, there's somewhere between 500 to 600,000 people.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a community that is underreported population-wise, and thus when you associate the numbers of the population with the availability of services, you're not necessarily able to match the services with the population that exists
Indeed.
in the community.
And that's when you know that more and more help is needed.
Yeah.
Now, as we know that this is, there's a connection with United Nations Week.
Absolutely.
So talk to us about the connection.
Absolutely. So the What If Trust and Africa have come together today to host a Social Good Summit meetup. The Social Good Summit it runs alongside the United Nations General Assembly, and as you know, the Sustainable Development Goals were approved by the General Assembly this week. And so what the Social Good Summit does is it brings it to a place where grassroots activists are able to communicate with the powers that be and sort of talk about how technology influences social good. So we talk a lot about disruptive technologies such as Uber. Uber has changed the game for taxis here in South Africa.
Yeah.
And one could argue that has produced social good. It improves potentially the services provided by current taxi drivers that are not using Uber, and it reduces prices for taxis for those who are looking for a reduction in prices, and it improves jobs.
Yeah. That I think has been a big thing for South Africa is the job creation through bringing in Uber as much as other issues which we're not going to get into.
Yeah.
How are you going to use this technical and financial assistance that comes out of the project? What will you use it for within the community?
I think go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think it's really about being able to give community members a voice who didn't before.
Okay.
So technology, such as if you're talking about Twitter, for instance, if you're on Twitter following Diepsloot 2030, sharing with the hashtag Diepsloot 2030, not necessarily sharing the car crashes and the fact that there is garbage in the road, but sharing the fact that you met a nice Diepsloot resident or you went
good stories.
Good stories.
Good stories.
And so we at the center provide internet access, and so you can come and share those stories, with the internet access at the center or anywhere for that matter. Okay. And it really is about getting community organizers from Diepsloot, based in Diepsloot, to be able to share those stories and spread the word. We'll plan on hiring artists to do murals in Diepsloot, celebrating, different cultures in Diepsloot 2030. Okay. We'd love to have young kids, creating songs and just to sort of really bring the community together and celebrate the diversity, not just on Heritage Day, not just at the Social Good Summit, but sort of every day.
All the time.
All the time.
So if interested parties want to help, how do they get in touch? How do they connect with you?
Well,
you've got a website, I do know that.
It's What If, it's WOT-IF.co.za. Africare.org is Africare's reaching out to us on Twitter is probably the best, the easiest way.
And let's give out the Twitter details.
It's at Diepsloot 2030.
Okay.
And you can also do at Africare and at What If Trust.
Okay. And then of course use that hashtag Diepsloot 2030.
Yes, please.
Listen, I wish you all the best of luck. I mean, it's a great initiative, and
Thank
let's do it. I mean, get this together, come together. So what's going to be happening today, in case you missed the beginning of the interview, is that residents of Diepsloot, along with 2 international aid organizations, that Africa and WATEF, are taking part in the Social Good Summit that'll be happening today for the area to achieve the vision of 2030.